What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of the Crane Kicks Lex podcast. It has been a minute. I am freshly back off of vacation. Kyle is as well. He'll likely be joining us. Jessica is on vacation currently. Dylan is not vacationing at the moment, but
No.
will in the future, right?
Yeah, coming up.
Yeah, coming up soon.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. Beach or no beach?
No.
No
Going to
beach.
Denver.
Yeah, me and Kyle were at the beach. Jessica is currently at a northern beach, so a lake beach, which still counts, still beachy, less sharks and fewer UV rays to assault you. Had to pull out the bucket hat. I got on a little bit of a bucket hat kick whenever I was down at the beach because I realized they are clutch. They saved me. I had very minimal sunburning happening, and like that never happens. Every time I go to the beach, which it was insanely hot. Not that it was any different here. Apparently, it was still like, I don't know, felt like 105 here.
Yeah,
And it
it
was
was
the same at
awful.
the beach. Like every 5 seconds, I was going in the water and I was like, oh, I feel much cooler. And then I'm like, wait, this is a trick. I'm still burning. I can feel it. And that's just reflecting it back at me. But bucket hats coming in clutch. And then I realized you can do all your nice little styles. You can do like your weird nautical look if you want. You can do your who's that guy and why is he so sketch and why can't I see his face look. You could do your like halvesy. So we're going to do halvesy. This makes me feel like a character out of like a 90s movie. Like I should be cast in Clueless or
Yeah,
something.
or road trip or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the vibe it's giving me.
for sure.
But I don't hate it. I like it. In fact. Yeah, but I don't know, man. It's we're back. There's been a couple things that have gone on since we were last together. We got 4th of July coming up. Doing anything cool?
No, not really. I think just like chilling, going on vacation the following week. So just kind of like saving for that. Yeah. I'm not a beach person at all. I don't like the heat. I'm an indoor animal really. So my vacations usually have to be north of Kentucky or, or like
Yeah.
in the fall or winter, something like that. So
I can appreciate that. Yeah, we're just having a few friends over and their kids because we're all been friends forever and ever and ever, and just gonna grill out, eat some food, do the snakes and sparklers. Nothing,
yeah.
nothing real crazy. All we
Yeah.
have is snakes and sparklers.
Do you have the
2
things
points
that
if
you
you
throw
got
in
the
the
reference.
ground and
Oh,
pop?
those are my favorite.
Yes,
Yes,
those are the best too. Yeah.
yes, poppets are the absolute best. Although, like my oldest son has realized that you can like toss them towards people now, and I'm like, nope, we're not doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. And he's like, but they don't hurt anybody. And I'm like, nah, they might. We're just gonna kind of throw them at the ground
We're
right
not
now. But
sure about it yet.
yeah, but I mean, I remember being younger and just being like, yeah, what does
Yes.
it hurt if I? And it's like,
Yes.
oh, maybe. So yeah, no. We'll be doing some fireworks, a few here and there, nothing real crazy because we try not to be over the top with it. I'm just not like, this is unpopular opinion. I'm just not like a big fireworks dude.
I'm the same exact way, and I'm gonna sound like an old man. Like I hate it
Yeah,
hearing it at night. Like now,
yeah.
like I'll hear it around my neighborhood now at 10 p.m. I'm like, those goddamn kids, making a racket out there. It's like I'm trying to
Old man
sleep.
mode.
Yeah, I'm full old man mode.
I mean, I will say I heard some like a week and a half ago around our neighborhood, and I'm like, what are y'all doing?
I
It's like 1
know.
a.m. and they're like shooting them off, and I'm like, it's not even close yet. It's
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
save them for 4th of July at least, but that's okay. So we do small amount for the kids, let them kind of enjoy it a little bit, and try and avoid the ones that are like too crazy with like the noise, because some of them like shriek and try and bust your eardrums,
Oh yeah.
and like my kids don't like, they hate those anyway. They're just like, man, that
Yeah.
was too loud, that was obnoxious, and I'm like, you get it. You're an
Yeah.
old soul.
Yeah.
You're with me. That might be one of my like few like old man curmudgeon-y like complaint things, is being like, man, fireworks. What's the deal
Yeah.
with those? But
I'm the same way.
I don't know. I'm probably minority in that whole aspect, but it is what it is. But let's talk about some fireworks that are going off for LSC. We've got some big stuff going down for Super League. Like it feels so fast and furious too, because we just got off the season, and I think we were so used to like League One. The season would end, we'd have a few months, and then you'd be waiting and waiting and waiting. Super League, though, because of the way the schedule is structured, you pretty much have to have news almost as soon as the season ends. Like the moment playoffs are done, it pretty much has to be like boom, boom, boom. There you go. And considering that we have a friendly on July 13th, it's like a week away. I guess closer to 2, but still, that's a pretty fast turnaround. We finally start getting some news. We finally start having some stuff drop here recently. Some really great news, some kind of sad news. So we actually had more returners than we thought. Like a few episodes back,
Hmm.
we were kind of scathing about the clubs,
For sure.
and Sean, for saying, "Hey, guess what? We're going to get rid of everybody." And I'll give them credit. We kept a decent number of players, and there's still some on the table. So
I'm
we've
happily
got,
I'm happy to be proven wrong in this
yeah, oh
scenario.
yeah, that's me too. This is one of those things like I'm cool looking stupid with this.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to look dumb because I want them to keep bringing people back and be like, "See, I told you we were bringing people back, and you were wrong that whole time."
Yes.
Perfect. That's amazing. I love it. Because now we've got Natalie Higgins coming back, who got some appearances towards the end of the season. She battled back from a season-ending injury, but it was not season-ending. Maybe partially because of the length of the schedule, the way it's set up, kind of allowed for a little bit extra recovery time. And plus, she's just a baller like that and came back ready to go. Shay Moyer is coming back. Psyched about that. Maddie Perez, that's an awesome returner. Hannah Richardson, I love it. Nayoung Shin, I know everybody's over the moon about that. You get to proudly display that kit that you bought
Yes.
from the
I
charity
know.
game. Yes,
I
I
know.
know.
Now it doesn't feel like silly. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it means something for real. Nicole Vernus, Trinity Watson, and Hannah White are all for sure confirmed to be coming back. Now, a little bit of a caveat to that, right? Because in that same announcement where they were talking about departures and returnees, really it was two separate announcements, right? But we've got Maddie Parsons is being invited to trial with the team in preseason. Same thing with Courtney Jones. So two of our year one players had the option to trial with us in preseason, possibly come back. We don't know the status of Sarah Cox, although I have a pretty good feeling that she's going to get announced at some point. I mean, it just feels that way, right? And then Maite Lopez, we don't know about her either. She was a loanee from Angel City. That one's up in the air as well. Now, with the returning crew, how are you feeling about like the core that we kept?
I think it's a pretty solid core, to be honest. I'm most excited about Shay staying and Shin. Those are my, the two that I was like really, really happy about. And I think like just having Shay, our captain, back is just so important to the team.
Yeah.
And um, I don't know, like I think Natalie Higgins deserves more time too, and
Mm-hmm.
I think like the minute she put on the field in the second half of the season, when she was on the field, she was definitely worth her time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good, re-signing. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised for sure.
Yeah. I feel really good about it. I mean, of course, I have a little bit of that. Like, this is the same thing with us talking about, are we going to bring anybody back? Now it's, are we going to play anybody that we brought back? Because we've
Yes.
also had a little bit of those issues, which a lot of that depends on the coach, which right now we don't know just yet. At least, I mean, maybe by the time you're listening to this, but as of recording, we don't know for certain who it's going to be. So maybe they see a place for all these players in the starting lineup. I hope they all get a fair shake. And it's not like what's happened with the men's team where it's like, we're going to keep you, but you're going to get loaned out or you're not going to really appear much. I hope they have a prominent role because, these players, they were instrumental in what we did. And results aside, we've talked about this, right? It's not only on these players what happened this
Yeah.
season. There's a lot going down that impacted performance. So I really am ecstatic, actually, that we kept as many as we did. Now, I really hope that Maddie Parsons and Courtney Jones also find their way back on the squad. And I will say, and I don't know if other people feel this way, because this isn't like unique to our team. Other teams do this. In fact, other businesses do this type of deal. I personally cannot stand it whenever somebody has worked for or played for an organization and the organization releases them and says, you can try out again if you want, though. You can try out and see if we think that you belong here. That feels icky though. That feels icky to me, man. Like I don't like that because in my mind, especially if that player got solid minutes, as both of these players did, you've seen what they have to offer. You see what they have to offer, and like Courtney Jones, absolute warrior. You know, I saw her play through a couple games where she had some knocks, and she really just kept going, pushing through, putting it all on the line for the team. Maddie Parsons, we've beat this horse to death. I mean, she's still, as far as end of season stats, in like top 11 for multiple things. Some of them are even still top 5 as far as her impact on the field. So I'm hoping that this isn't just kind of like leading them along and saying, well, we'll just say you can try out just to say it. I hope it's truly like a fair shake for both of them. They really, really get a chance to show out. And I hope to see them back on the team.
Yeah, I completely feel the same way. Both of these players have put in the minutes on the field and are definitely, you know, producers for us, and especially Maddie, with all the stats to back it up. And I do feel like it's kind of silly that, like, both of these players have to kind of prove themselves when I feel like they have
Yep.
already proven themselves, time and time again. And, I worry about like if they do get back their time. You mentioned this with the returners too. We want these players to like all have intention to be on the
Mm-hmm.
team and to like have minutes. We want
Yeah.
all these players who are on the team to be a contributing part of the team, right? Like we don't want to see anyone sit on the bench all season, and we don't want anyone to get like unfair treatment or anything like that. And I just think both of these players are, they would be playing on other teams, for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. So it's just, I mean, looking at this, you also have to like wonder, like, if they are going to trial with us, then who knows? Maybe they're passing up all the other opportunities to do that. I
Mhm.
don't know. And so that's the other piece of the puzzle. It's like, hopefully everything is working out in their favor, and everybody gets the chance that they deserve for this. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, new coach, maybe that impacts things in a certain way, and maybe they have clear eyes and can kind of look back at some of these things and what they produce whenever they're out there in preseason and say, okay, yeah, like this is good. Like we need them back, and I see a spot for them in this old system. So I don't know. I don't think many fans would disagree either. I know a lot of people loved what Courtney Jones and Maddie Parsons did for us. So let's all cross our fingers. Cross
Yeah,
our fingers. We
for
got
sure. Would
this.
love to have both of them.
Yeah. But we did also finally start getting new player signings. So now, on top of knowing who is gone and who is here for sure, and or maybe, we got 3 player signings as of the recording of this pod. So 2 coming out of Spokane, which is really good. That's a good squad to pick over. Like
For
Spokane
sure.
had like a little bit of a slow start, and then all of a sudden they went on a
They
tear.
just picked up
And
in the spring. Yeah.
yes, they kind of did like the reverse of us, right?
Yeah.
Not that we were really on a tear in the first half, but it was funny to see them really just morph into this brand new team. And I know they made a couple tweaks here and there, but uh, man, they did the thing. And 2 instrumental players, both on the right side for them, are joining us now. So we have Alyssa Bourgeois. I'm pretty sure I got that right.
Yes.
Um, Alyssa Bourgeois and then Mackenzie Weinert. So both of them are going to be here. Both played on the right hand side. Alyssa Bourgeois is a right back, so she's an outside back, fullback for us now. And then Weinert is a winger. So it'll be interesting to see if they both get to be out on the field at the same time and kind of keep that chemistry rolling. The fact that we signed both of them makes me feel like that's a high possibility. That's our intent, is to possibly continue that partnership and see what they can do in a new system here. And I think would be really good. Both amazing players, both absolute ballers. So I think when you look at the players that Spokane had, they got to be like within the top 5 of like must wants. I I can only think of one other that I was like, man, if we could get her, that'd be super dope. And that's Amina Ekic.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that would be possible though. I think she's
no,
like way too good, and I think Spokane values her way too much.
I don't think they're letting her go unless there's a big, dollar sign there, which
Yeah.
we have been known to splash some cash, but I think they don't just want money and then run. I think they want like money and notoriety and see if they can get her to a club that people are going to be like, oh man, you transferred her to that club. So I feel like that's what they're looking for, if not just to hang on to her and be like, this is our cornerstone. This is our face of the club.
These have been transfers too, so we are shelling out
Hmm.
money for these players.
Yes. Yes. We are buying them up. So
Yes.
it's pen to paper. Ours, they're with us, not loans, so locked in. And then our third player that we signed is actually coming out of Dallas. So Allison Pantuso. I mean, sorry, Brooklyn. What am I
Brooklyn.
thinking?
Yeah.
Why did I say Dallas? I think I saw something about Dallas right before we hopped on here. Yeah, not Dallas. Brooklyn though. Alyssa Pantuso. She is really, really good. A center back. So she is solid, great with production. I know that I had put something to the Discord. I might put it out there on other socials some point. But John Morrissey, who does USL Tactics, he does a lot of analytics and he's done a lot of stuff for the league. Does amazing work. Dude is phenomenal. Basically genius with tactics, especially regarding USL. He had a chart that he mocked up for her and what she contributed compared to other center backs in the league. Heads and tails above everybody. Like just insane how much her production was above other center backs in the league. And I mean, we had a really strong group this year, but I think everybody can agree that like shoring up our defense after giving up the most goals in the league is kind of a big priority for us. And so getting somebody that has her level of talent and production is going to be massive for us. So I'm really pumped about that signing. I think that that's going to be a really impactful signing for us going forward.
She also has a ton of like experience internationally as
Yeah.
well. She's played in Switzerland, France, Sweden, so she's played all over, and like that experience is invaluable. And yeah, I think this is a really, really good signing to bolster our defense. And like you said, that was like our big weak point. Last season was letting in goals. So if we can bolster our defense, I think like we already got a start of a good back line. If you count
Mhm.
into our returning players, you got Shin, you got Trinity, and then you add the two new signings for the defense. That's a good back line to start.
Yeah. And then Matty Perez is still back for us too. So like 3 returners. Now we got 2 added in. So it feels like we're starting to do what we need to do as far as like revamping those areas that we need. It'll be interesting
And
because
we have said it before, but we definitely think Matty Perez needs to be moved
mhm,
up into the center,
yes,
like a center defensive role. She's
100%.
like she's a good defensive player, but her best
Hmm.
attribute is her distribution. And we can get her, into that role, and she can be pinging balls, left and right, and you
Yeah.
know and even using her defensive skills to earn the ball back in those attacking areas would be really useful. And yeah, I think if we, do something like that, and the new players and the returning players, I'm liking it. It feels pretty solid so far.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. I think that it's really good. And we've talked about that so much. I think Perez would just be such a awesome defensive
Yes.
midfielder. Oh my
Like a
gosh.
deep
I think she
lying
would
one,
kill it.
and she just sits back,
Yes.
someone passes her the ball, and then she just sends it over the top to, one of our wings.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
I dream about the pairing of like her with Shay and just like
Yes.
back and forth. Oh my gosh. Like
And
and that's all the experimentation that we did last year. I'm actually surprised that we never really tried that.
mhm.
It seemed like a really obvious one to like test out and see what would happen. Instead, we were taking like wingers and making them, go back as an
Mm,
outside back, which I mean isn't real crazy, but you get it. It's kind of like strange, right? Sometimes you're like, all right. Eh, Everybody was everywhere
yeah.
except for Patty Perez, and it's like,
Yeah.
just try her in that spot and see what happens because I bet she would cook.
If she would. And the thing about like moving her there would also free up Shay to move up more. And Shay's
Hmm.
such a good contributor. Her crosses are so
Yes.
fantastic. I don't know if you remember Hannah White's goal earlier
Hmm.
in the spring season. like the best part of that was Shay's cross over
Yeah.
into the area. Like that was the best part of that.
Yes. Oh man. Oh yeah. It was amazing, dude. So I don't know. We'll see. Like maybe this new coach has something up their sleeve. Because you gotta imagine that there's a new coach in place. Well, like why
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I've heard rumors that it's a coach with some experience at a high level. And so I'm doing my thing. I'm like sitting here like combing through and be like, could it be this person? Could it be this person? Like I even thought I was like, okay, well, what if it's like Racing Louisville's coach? What if we just like poached her? Like, what if it was somebody I've had my eye on, which I know like the record wasn't amazing, but the Chicago Stars, and in NWSL, they actually ended up with an interim coach later in the season because they were not doing so hot. And his record was not like full of wins, like it was a few draws and then a lot of losses. But I think it was just a matter of like managing what you could until you reach the finish line. But he's somebody that's kind of caught my eye. Masaki Himi, he is somebody that I'm like, maybe he did just enough whenever he took over as an interim coach for us to be like, let's see what he can do for us. Because somebody that's in an interim coach position, they've had some head coaching experience at NWSL level. Maybe you start thinking like, okay, does Chicago want to keep him? And if they do, could we maybe like convince them to let go of him, bring him down to USLS? I don't know. I don't know. There's some weird feeling I got about him, but there are a lot of names out there. There are even assistant coaches, in NWSL that have high levels of experience, and I feel like that's where we're going to be looking. It feels a lot easier as opposed to a lot of teams last year ended up in situations where some of their coaches that they were trying to get in ended up getting held up on visas and other issues, like Dallas. Their coach was one of them.
Yeah.
She got held up on her visa issues and came in late. And which, speaking of her, that's wild that Dallas let her go after making the playoffs in year
Yeah, I
one.
know. I
they,
thought
they were
so
like, it's not
too.
up to our standards. And I'm like, what are you
What?
talking about? You made
Playoffs?
playoffs in year one.
Yeah.
Like, what is your issue? And she even had to come in late.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The quick turnaround of the season makes me feel like we're going to want somebody that is already here and already has all that stuff situated. But I don't know. There are a lot of names. It's really hard to narrow it down, but I'm sure by the time people are listening to this or shortly after, we'll start to know more, because we don't have a lot of time to waste as far as getting those names out into the world.
I think
Who
that's a good
knows?
name. I think like an obvious name to people would be Sly Yates from, Spokane, because she was here previously, and we're, bringing in some Spokane players too. There's that connection. So,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
possible.
like yours. Yours is kind of, I don't know, more pie in the sky.
Yeah, maybe so, dude. Like I said, I'm starting to like kind of do that thing where I'm looking at so many things. It's
Pepe
the Charlie
Sylvia.
Day meme. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it's very Charlie Day, like where he's like got the
Pepe
map of all the
Sylvia.
different things. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Either one, pick your poison. And people are like, what is he even talking about? But I don't know. I don't know. I can't say for sure who it is. Who knows? I'm just excited to find out. And I want to see their plan for us and what we're gonna do to kind of change this all. You know what I mean? Get something stable and really build from this point on. Especially with us bringing in a lot of returners. So I don't know. We'll get a look on the 13th though against Racing Louisville. I mean, that's going to be our first chance to get a look at what's going down. And obviously, doesn't mean everybody's going to be in place. We've seen that before with preseason, where sometimes like you still have to wait because various things hold players up. So it might not be like 100% look of like who we're going to be and who's going to be a part of this team, but I think it'll be close enough. It'll be good. Also, before we leave off on Super League stuff, a couple of things. So we have Nicole Vernis ends up winning Goal of the Year for Lexington Sporting Club. And if you've followed us for a long time, we've always done like end of season accolades. Honestly, life just got away from us this year. We're sorry. Apologies that we did not see them. It's a lot and it got away from us. But I was surprised to see that the club did an accolade of their own for Goal of the Year. That was really, really cool. All of them were awesome. I mean, I don't think there was really a bad goal in the bunch. I don't see how you couldn't choose one of them. Although I was real surprised that one goal You know the one I'm talking about with Autumn Weeks, where she does that like
Yeah.
whip around backward
To
scorpion
Maddie.
kick into Maddie, and Maddie heads it
Yeah.
in.
That would have been
That
my
was
pick for her.
that was probably the sickest goal I've ever seen in my life, because like I was just in awe about like what Autumn Weeks did. And then it
Yeah.
was extra impressive when you think like the reaction speed from Maddie to get ahead on the ball. I was like, what did I just witness? That was like some Zlatan stuff going down. Like,
Yeah.
it made my head spin. But none of the goals that were put up were bad by any means. They were amazing. You know, a lot of screamers, a lot of like rockets were put up for the vote. And Nicole's was one of those rockets that you're just like, man. And I remember us watching that too. I think in the
Yes.
clip it even shows us like screaming
Yeah.
because we were just like, she did the thing, she let her rip. But no, super, super big congrats to Nicole. And then Sarah Cox, who again in limbo, but kind of feels like is going to come back. I don't know. But with her, she ends up winning Save of the Year for the league, which I also thought was funny because I feel like they didn't even use her best save. It was a
Yeah.
great save, but once again, they didn't use her best save. She had like multiple saves where I'm like, but what about that one?
Yeah.
Because you knew everybody would vote for it. That's why.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
wanted to make it more fair and be like, well, let's put a bunch of saves on the same level. And it's like, no, you can't be doing that. Put some respect on Sarah Cox's name. She had some phenomenal saves that would have cleaned house with the votes. People had to be able to be like, yeah, that's it. But that's okay. She won in the end. That's all that matters to me. So that's a little nice accolade that we can put in inaugural season. Our goalkeeper won Save of the Year. So we'll take those accolades where we can get them, and we'll shout them off mountaintops, right?
Yeah, for sure. They were both awesome.
Absolutely. All right. More news I'm sure is coming for Super League. It's got to be.
I would imagine we'll get some tomorrow because, it
Yeah.
kind of just like randomly dropped today.
Yes.
So,
yeah, as people are listening, they're probably like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one.
oh, I
There's another
said
one.
today and people are listening. I meant
Who knows when they're
yesterday.
listening?
Yeah, if you're listening, I meant yesterday. But
But
that's
what if they're
even
not? What if they're
confusing.
not listening on Tuesday, Dylan?
Yeah, I know.
Dude, you're creating time paradoxes. You better quit.
The multiverses.
The multiverse. Um, Speaking of our women's teams, though, just real quick before we move on, our departing players. Like, I know we did a post for it. I hope our departing players go on and do awesome things wherever they go. Like, I want nothing but the best for them. I know Dylan feels the same. I know Jessica, Kyle, all of us feel the same. It means something special whenever players choose to play for us. And I know it's a job, and there are gonna be people out there being like, well, they just chose to play there because that was the offer. Nah, we're not messing with all that. We're saying they chose to be here because at the end of the day, that's what happened. They chose to represent our city. I just hope that while they were here, us fans made them feel appreciated, made them feel the love, made them feel support. I want them to go other places and just kill it, whatever that might be. And I know some people might not be continuing their soccer career, right? So JJ, she even posted today. It kind of sounded like she was hanging up her boots. You know, she didn't say it in real specific words, but the post kind of made it sound that she's ready for that next chapter. She was with us for W League. Now she's, was with us in our inaugural season in Super League. Didn't get to see a lot of minutes, but the minutes she saw, I thought she did amazing. It just, there were a lot of really cool people on this team, on this squad. And I just want them all to ball out. Or if they're not balling anymore, ball out in another way. Metaphorically ball out wherever you're at, doing whatever you're doing. But we appreciate any of you. If any of you are listening, thank you for choosing Lexington. Thank you for always putting it all on the line for our city and come in week after week with the heat, trying to see what we could do for the year. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it might have been a tough season, but we appreciate you. All the best, right? So go kill it. Go do great. Dylan, did I miss anything?
No.
Heartfelt enough
Yeah, that was good.
from the heart. Yes.
Yeah. I just once a green, always a green.
Always 100%. Like we seriously, like, we follow players even long after they left us. Like, I got day one, year ones still on my list of follows on all the accounts, and I'm always hyping them up and always talking about them to people. So it's not just something we say. Like, we legit are always cheering people on, being like, hey, do you know they're off doing this in this place, or this guy's doing this here? So yeah, always a green. And then kind of shifting gears a little bit, another like kind of sad goodbye. W League season's over. It's it. That's kind of the finality for that too. It went so
It was
incredibly
here,
fast.
and then it's not.
I just can't, like, third year of this happening, and I still can't wrap my mind around how fast the W League goes. It's like as soon as I'm like, okay, here are the players. Here's a game that happened. Next thing I know, there's a post being like, oh yeah, that concludes our 2025 W League season. It's like, how? Where did that even come from?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was good though to see that. I know a lot of players on the W League, there were posts over the last couple of weeks being like, I committed to this college or I transferred to this school. So a lot of them going on to continue the collegiate career, as many W League or USL2 players do. They tend to still play college ball. This is kind of like their summer thing to stay in form and get, some eyes on them. I hope that we maybe see some of them, at least a name or two, on Super League roster at some point one day, even if it's not this year, maybe further down the line. You also still wonder if we're going to see people like Macy Barlow. Maybe she'll be back in the mix, where she featured for the Super League last year. That'd be incredibly cool. I know that the team, the club, they're trying to create that type of pipeline. They're trying to make things happen where you can actually build up on that and then call them up to the next level. So good luck to all the players, in their collegiate career, or if they're coming back and featuring for Super League. And I hope that, as we've seen in the past, we see some of these W League players come back and feature for us on the W League again. And then we kind of continue that and just kind of get some continuity for us that turns into something real on the professional side. That'd be really, really cool. All right. Ready to talk championship?
Yep. Let's talk ball.
Wait. Glass shatters. You're supposed to cue the glass shattering, Dylan.
That's Kyle Piercy's music.
By God, is that Kyle Piercy?
What's up, guys?
The right accent, but we're doing it. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you all?
Good.
Well.
You look a little sun-kissed.
Yeah. We were at the beach. We were at the beach for about 10 days. And I avoided major sunburns, but yeah, got a little tan. So everything went well. Mostly good weather. Down in Florida. So on the Atlantic side, and had a great time.
Florida. Yes, nice. Man.
Did you run on the beach?
3 times. Yeah, I ran 3 times on the beach.
Only 3 for 10 days, Kyle?
Only 3.
You told me no days off.
9 days. Oh, plenty of days off. Yeah.
Were they half marathons on the beach?
No, I didn't even you could add them up and they weren't a half marathon. So,
but it was running in sand. That counts a lot.
That's true. That is
what
true.
Rocky did.
Yeah. Yep. Running in sand is
Yeah. I've been compared to Rocky, in terms of physique and the way I talk, things like that. So
can't read.
Yes.
Right. I do wear a lot of grout fits as well. So yeah. Just 3 runs though.
I see. But okay, yeah. That was good. That's
it's one of those I mean, you guys know you run on the beach, but you see that there's a pier that's 2.5, 3 miles away. And I'm I'm just going to run to the pier and back. And it never gets closer.
Realize that
you're running.
It gets further away, actually.
And you're I don't think it's there. I don't think it exists. So I never made it to the pier.
And then dolphins show up and start taunting you, and they swim to the pier back 14 times in the time it takes you to do it.
Yeah.
And you're okay.
Exactly.
And they're all laughing at you in their weird whistle and click language that they got.
Yeah. It was a little bit of a long, so we left on a Wednesday and returned on, the Sunday, just yesterday as we're recording. And so it felt a little bit longer than a normal. I feel like a week is your solid, week at the beach. And obviously we traveled on either end of it, but still it felt like maybe 1 too many days. We were ready, ready to leave, but it was a good time. And, obviously sad to see my beloved Pacers season come to an end. But while I was down there, it looks like Lexington Sporting Club, figured some things out. So, it is kind of weird to come back to your house after not being here for a while, and everything just, seems different, but still the same.
Yeah.
It's the same, but different, but still same. I get it, man. And I'm glad we all got our vacation, except for Dylan, who get his. Because it's kind of like having your cake and eating it too. We got vacation, and USLC is killing it all of a sudden. Killing it. This Richmond game. So I was actually driving on the way back from Florida, and I thought I would for sure get home in time to watch the Richmond game, and I was sorely mistaken because apparently everybody and their brother just decided to stop in the middle of the road in Montgomery and Birmingham and Nashville, and nobody would just drive. Nothing was wrong. People were just stopping for hours at a time.
Were they in the left lane? Were they
They were in
hogging it?
They were in every linking up lanes. It was like a whole. It was making me super sad. So I actually put it on through my radio, and I was listening to it, and I was just, which commentary is good, but it doesn't give you the full experience. So I watched it later whenever I got home, like at 10 o'clock at night. But it seemed like it was a great game, and then I watched it and I realized, oh wow, it was a great game. This game against I'm not trying to be a hater, but I was really hoping that we would stomp them because of all the crap they gave us last season. They were so up in our business last season about the fact that they were going to make sure we got the wooden spoon, that they were going to be the ones that put the nail in our coffin, made us finish last place last season, which we didn't. But man, they were determined. So to see us go to their house and just lay it on thick, vindication. That's what I'm talking about. We're getting some dashboard confessional in on here,
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man theme, yeah. Vindicated, beat the ruse. I don't know how the song would go, but we did it. I felt even better about this match because we had some heavy rotation. Like, we actually got a lot of people a lot of minutes in this, which I thought was really, really good because, we always have that conversation whenever we're going into like a Jaeger Cup match or an Open Cup match versus a league match, especially whenever you're looking at it and you're saying, we haven't been doing so great in that competition anyway. So do we like play all of our starters and keep the hot hand and keep that momentum rolling? Do we feature some other people, let our starters take a little bit of a rest and kind of recoup? But what happens if we lose that momentum that they built? And I don't know if there's ever really truly the answer or a right answer, because I feel like every coach handles that differently and every coach has different levels of success. We had good success with this rotation, and still our starters got to see minutes too. So what are our first thoughts and impressions of this match against Richmond, Dylan?
Well, watching the game live, the first couple of minutes, I got really worried because Richmond was getting really close to scoring, and they had two corners right off the rip, and so I was like, "Whoa!" But it was right after that was kind of when it shifted. It was really not too shortly after that where the game just totally changed in our favor, and then, eventually we got the goals off the set pieces, and that pretty much set us up for the game. And that is one area we've been really lacking on. And to see us score on two of them in both really clean goals too, really enjoyable to watch. It was really nice. And then a nice third goal to top it off in open play was, really cool as well. And we handled it pretty well with the substitutes and everything. The rotation was really good, and I don't know, players like Caceres stepped up. Danny Woo. So I don't know. It was just a good. It was just a good, hard fought win, and we kept a clean sheet. And shout out to Brooks again. He gets his clean sheet. Brooks cooks, and I don't know. I like him in goal. He brings something to the team in goal. And I kind of hope we just stick with him for, as long as we can, as long as he's winning and, he's in goal, or we're winning and he's in goal. Let's just stick with that.
Yeah. I agree with you. I feel like right now I love Ketterer, but I think we've said this before, you kind of have to roll with who's hot, and he's hot right now. And I feel like, until something changes, you kind of have to just stay the course. It was real interesting too, because I talked about rotation. Our heaviest rotation was honestly in our back line. We've seen Jaber and Zinge like pretty regularly. Especially Zinga. He's been around a lot here recently in matches, but even still, like it was kind of like later into the season that he kind of took off. Danny Barber, he's not been around since the beginning of the season, and then now he's back into it. Daniel Wu, not really been around except periodically. So it was really, really cool to see us roll out a different back line or a different kind of like mixture for our back line and still find success and find a clean sheet. I think that was kind of a big deal for me that we found another clean sheet because I know this isn't a league game, but a lot of teams are outpacing us in their ability to finish a game without getting scored on. And I think that, we had really high hopes defensively at the beginning of the season because our attack was so vicious. It felt like we were constantly putting pressure on. So our defense was pretty safe. We didn't really have to face too many challenges. And then this Richmond game made me feel that all over again. It made me feel like, okay, like we can do this. And to be fair, Richmond's struggling. Aside from their win over Omaha, which, some people were like, oh man, Richmond beat Omaha. It was 4-3. Omaha's not doing that great this year either. Like Omaha is not who they've been in the past. They're kind of a shadow of their former selves. So I don't know. It just felt really, really good to get that convincing win with us cycling our back line. Nick Firmino wasn't available because of his red card in the last Jaeger Cup match. So we had to kind of make some adjustments there. But I mean, we saw kind of our core attackers back in the mix minus him because Adedokun was in there, Epps was in there, Medente was in there, Ajago was in there. You have those guys still there starting for you. And I think that they're really, really effective. And we're starting to see where they're becoming so dangerous that I think it's pulling pressure off of our defense. Now, could we still finish a few more of our chances a little more regularly? That's kind of where we maybe need to still try and improve and make some changes or kind of polish things up. But man, what a great game. And, Dylan, you mentioned Caceres. He's one of those players too that like I feel like really showed out for us and was really instrumental in helping us control the midfield and kind of making things go down, right? So I got to give him lots of props. But I don't know.
Kyle, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I was going to say, I was, talking to you guys a little bit about the match from afar. That was on, we had stopped in Atlanta and I was able to go actually see a Braves game. So the Braves beat the Phillies 6-1. Dylan, in case you were wondering what the score was in that one.
Yeah, but what was the series?
Moving on. It's a soccer.
Won the series?
Podcast.
Tyler,
This is a soccer
check?
podcast. This is a soccer podcast.
Look, man, I don't do baseball. You're on your own.
No, we got to see the starting pitcher for the Braves, Schwellenbach, had 12 Ks. Sean Murphy had a grand slam. Grand slams, like at home in person, really cool. Really cool. Can't confirm. But I was able to check this one out afterward, but it did seem like one of those matches that, like, historically, obviously not the longest history ever here with the club, but historically a match that could trip up, Lexington against on paper, an inferior team, but really just kind of handle business the way that we aren't used to seeing this team handle business. And even if it's just against, League One competition, it's still obviously a meaningful match in terms of like the Jaeger Cup, and it's a meaningful match in terms of keeping momentum going. From what I was able to watch, just, in some of the match recap, really like the way that Ajago's continuing to kind of get more comfortable. Obviously, his first appearance with Lexington, won't be is memorable for a lot of reasons, but seems to be, a player that's really kind of at least settling in a little bit more into that role that we all kind of expected of him. And then Medinset, like the set pieces, I think at least the last time I was on the podcast, I know I've missed a couple. We spoke about how inept the corners have been, and specifically like set pieces in general, but really the corners, where we're racking them up. Like we are attempting a ton of corners, but just not making hay from them. So to see those two first goals, like Dylan said, really clean goals. Really, I don't know if they're well-designed set pieces or just a really like horrific lapse on defense. But that first goal, I mean, just completely unmarked in the box, and Jago on the header. And so Understandably so, the Richmond keeper was a little upset, but it also kind of looked like it was one of those perfect little rub, pick plays that kind of leaves him open, and of course delivered from Medense with perfection. So, and then again on the Epps goal, it felt like one of those matches that could have been something where it tripped up Lexington, and you come out of it and you're like, yeah, that's actually what we should have expected to see. And to your point earlier about some of these players that like and it's not just a this season team issue. I feel like it's something that we've seen in the past where players fall out of favor with the coach, and then it's just like that. Just you never hear from them again. You know what I mean? Like they might as well not even be in town. So to see like Caceres and Barbier and Wu and those guys who we saw earlier in the season, maybe fall out of favor a little bit, maybe not in form, get the chances against this inferior opponent to be like reestablished into the lineup. Because I think that what that does is allows those players, the longer we get into the season, the more guys you need to rely on, whether it's due to injury or whatever else. And so having these guys get some reps while bringing in some of the newer pieces as well was great to see. And once again, just rolling without a second keeper in the 18 is like, I guess this is what we do now. So yeah, from afar, it was fun to watch, and then watching the highlights was very enjoyable.
What you were saying about like, getting to see those guys again. I mentioned with the Super League team, like if they're on the roster, we want them to play and we want to see them contributing. So it's good to see those guys back on the field contributing. And for me, like I've really liked Barbier so far this season. And, I kind of don't know what happened. Maybe he was injured. We don't really know, why he wasn't featured. And then, to have him back and, he had a good game. Like, that was really, really good. And, Kyle, you also were mentioning this, like where we are in the season with the standings for the cup and standings for the league, we kind of have to treat all matches equally at this point.
Yeah.
And we kind of just have to like go out and put our best foot forward and, play with the intention to win every game, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And in terms of Danny too, it was like, again, not being like super locked into how this one unfolded in terms of like the game flow and the game script and all that. Like catching the highlights is different, obviously, but it seemed like some of these guys were also able to play maybe in positions that we haven't traditionally seen them in. Not everyone, but just seeing guys in a couple different looks here and there, which is also fantastic. And part of it too is like we want to see these guys, or in the Super League, like you mentioned, same thing. If we have players on the roster, we want to see them, especially when the team's not performing very well. That's where it becomes really frustrating when it's like, hey, okay, we're struggling. Where has X, Y, or Z been? Why not give them a chance type of thing? So this was kind of the best of both worlds, where not only were we able to ride momentum from the previous two matches, but nothing like a step wasn't dropped at all by playing some of these new players, because you could also fall into that trap of like, hey, they're all must wins at this point. Let's not mess with anything. But it was a great chance for the team to mix a few things up and still continue that momentum.
You mentioned us just rolling without a second goalkeeper. All Knight's still available. Maybe we put him in there, slot him in, so we at least have an emergency. I still wonder who is the emergency. Like whenever, like if something were to happen, or are we just whoever grabs the gloves first?
I think it's supposed to be Griffin Huff. I'm just assuming that because of he was with the team during the kit reveal thing. So
but I mean, like in our 18s that we've been rolling out, I always sit there and start cringing. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
like who is that?
Tossing the gloves to Danny Barbier and being like, "Get in there, dude. You're tallest one out here. Let's go."
Like if something happened in a match, you can only play with those 18. So someone, we're not just going to go without a keeper. So someone's going to, hey, step up.
It's one of those things I keep wondering about. I'm like, who is it? I'm gonna have to ask somebody one day. I'm gonna be like, okay, but real talk, who is you guys' backup when there's not a backup? Like who's gonna jump in goal, put on those gloves,
like the time
and throw on like the penny? Yeah. Like, right, exactly. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like Corey Burke. Maybe Corey Burke gets in goal and he does his thing. I don't know. It is stressful though whenever we see that, because usually usually things don't happen with keepers, but we've already had something happen with a keeper, so we know it does occur. So I don't know. It makes me a little nervous with that. But, Kyle, you were mentioning like the set pieces. I think that was what was most pleasing to me in this match because we've had so many set piece opportunities. And if we would just finish those, and I know easier said than done, but if we would just finish those, how many goals will we have? Like so many goals, just getting them cleaned up. And like the one with Ajago felt very intentional. It felt very much like a make sure they lose you and you're running in. And like, geez, he was like a rocket, man. He just like came out of nowhere and like he headbutted that ball like it owed him money and called his mama name. Like he like bashed the heck out of it. And it was perfect. I don't know that he was necessarily intending for it to go to ground like it did, but I mean, like, hey, it worked out in our favor. And I mean, that was unsavable. No keeper's getting that. The way it ping ponged and then like went into the goal is too clean. And then Marcus, he had that, he's had a drought. Marcus is somebody that, for a while we were looking to for goals and it's not been coming here recently. And so to see him get one was super, super awesome. The Corey Burke one was that was one of those like disrespectful goals. It's like he slowed down and let everybody set up on the defense, including the keeper. And you could see him like look Pablo Yara in the eyes. And he's like, I dare you to try and save this. And so he just kicks it right over his head and blasts it into the top netting. It was crazy disrespectful in the best way. I really like that we had so many people getting in on the action with this, and I think that's what I prefer from our team. I know everybody wants like that goal scorer, and it's like, that's our goal scorer. That's our guy. I like teams where it's like, you don't know who the goal scorer is going to be because everybody can do it. And with us having so many goal scorers over the course of the matches that we played, it feels okay to me. It feels okay that anybody can be dangerous for us. Obviously, I think right now Ajago is like that guy. You see him in the first half, like how hard he was playing and how many chances he had. We actually had 8 shots in the first half, 6 on target. 3 were from him. So like he's being crazy productive at this point. I feel like, you guys said it. He's in his groove and he's kind of feeling things a little bit differently now at this point. And so I think that we're going to see his production pick up. And I think we're going to be feasting because of it. So I don't know. This was a really, really good game to kind of preserve and kind of keep that momentum rolling. Might have been, a little bit of a down and out opponent, different competition, but you need that to kind of keep going, especially with us having this long away stretch.
And one thing about the set pieces is now Medense is taking them like, and that's so key. He is so good with the set pieces. And, he got the assist on them. And, man, he's just so good. I love having him back from Charlotte. I'm so glad we recalled that loan.
Yeah, having him get like 2 assists off of set pieces big. And I know, we said in a pod that we really like Kieran Sargent on set pieces. And I still stand by that. I think Kieran Sargent is amazing at it. But I think Medense showed that like he can be that guy. If people will be in the spot that he needs them to be in, he can be that guy too. And it's great to have, that dual setup of danger. Those are our 2 guys that I feel like should always be over the ball on corners, especially. It should always be Medense or Sargent if we're taking a corner, like every time. That's just my personal opinion. Nothing against any of the other guys, but I feel like we've seen the most danger from them. And clearly now, Medense 2 assists in 1 game off the corners. That's clutch. That's why, he got that player of the match vote. Like, I think everybody saw that he was went out there making things happen, and you can't really deny it. He's somebody, once again, we've said this like a million times. Dylan, you said you're so glad we recalled him from that loan. You still think, man, but what if he had not been on loan in the first place and just had been a part of this, making things happen for us from day one. But we have him here now, and he's thriving, and that's what you want to see. And I think he's even, like, fun fact, I think some people know this, but he's still currently tied for assist leader in League One. Just from his few matches that he was there, I think he's still tied with 4 assists in League One with somebody from Omaha. Pretty sure it's an Omaha player that he's tied up with. So that's how productive he was there. And then he's coming here and he's just replicating at a higher level. So clutch. That's all there is to it. Can't get mad at it. So looking at Jaeger Cup, I don't want to say then the next game that is meaningless, but it's meaningless in the sense that it's pretty much guaranteed mathematically. We're not getting out of our group. Just I said this real early on. It was essentially the group of death. Like, I mean, there were some tough groups, but this group was very, very tough. And we happen to be stuck in it. And things are what they are. Richmond's knocked out. We might have beat them, but I think we're essentially knocked out. That being said, we still have to play Louisville. So we're playing Lou City for our last one. So it's a must win. Like, if we do anything but full gas, it'll be upsetting. Like, this has to be one of those ones that even though we cannot necessarily get out of the group, we have to put everybody out there and make a statement, because like I can't go with any more like this little brother stuff. I need us to like take it serious. And I think we will. I think that this showed that we are going to take it serious, because I don't think that we rotated because we underestimated Richmond. I feel like we rotated because we're like, all right, this setup I think could work for us. These are guys that I feel like, are going to go out there, are going to handle business. And it was maybe a little bit of a test run, like Kyle said, to make sure anybody can slot in and we'll still be fine, no matter who the competition is. So we'll kind of see what goes down with that, but definitely can't let off the gas just because winning our group seems to be out of distance. That's just my opinion, though. I think most people would agree. They want to beat Lou City, because why wouldn't you? So with this being our third win in a row, number 3, are we back? Are we good now? Kyle, you asked, are we good? I want to ask you, are we good?
I have been asking that question for like 3 weeks in a row now. Like, is it possible? I mean, maybe. No, I think right now we're good, but I think all of us also understand that July could also bring its challenges, and so it's going to be a tough month, I think. But maybe we're good. I don't know, Dylan. Are we good?
Are we good? That's a tough question. I think we're good for the moment.
For the
Okay.
moment. Okay.
It's like even more frustrating is like obviously Jaeger Cup, that result didn't play into the standings part of it, but like the bottom half of the West also is like everyone I feel like is coming off a victory, so it's not like we've actually made up much ground in terms of like the standings yet. But so that's a little disheartening. But like you also know that the difference between 12 and 6, let's say, is a matter of like 5 points. So the potential's there, but it is a little disheartening to be like, all right, let's check in on the standings, and you realize the whole bottom half is coming off a win, basically. So yeah.
That is what makes it hard to say, like, that we're good is like, where we are in the table relative to what our upcoming schedule is, and, like this run of form now, what we could have had, so it's all like relative to this point. So yeah, we're good for the moment.
Yeah, I think I would agree. Like, I feel very optimistic. New Mexico was a statement win. That one was like, out of all 3, that was we can actually compete. Like that was the one that really proves it. Colorado, I feel like, was a good win. I don't know if I'd say it was a statement win like New Mexico was, but it was absolutely a good win. And that's just purely because Colorado, it wasn't the level of competition that New Mexico was. Richmond, absolutely not at the level of Colorado and New Mexico. So that one felt maybe just more like a get your mind right, feel good type of game. Go in there and bully a team and then feel refreshed from that. I think this was a go beat up on a team and then we're going to go play some real contenders here soon type of match. Sorry, no disrespect, Richmond, but I mean, let's be honest. Like, that's kind of what it was. So I'm feeling pretty strong. So like kind of thinking about our personal feelings about these last 3 matches and our momentum that we've been building up. We had somebody ask us, we had a listener question. Sorry, I didn't do a big post out there, but somebody in the Discord had asked, they posted and they're like, hey, I want you guys to address this with our road matches coming through July. He was asking us, hey, daunting schedule in July. How many points are we finishing with out of that stretch in July? So in July, I'm actually going to take Lou City out of this because they're Jaeger Cup. So I'm not even going to include them in the, like, are we getting points off of them? We're going to beat them. That's all I'm going to say. But we got Phoenix Rising next. Then we got Miami FC after them, followed by Sacramento Republic. So just to kind of put your brain into the right perspective, we're going from Richmond, Virginia, to Phoenix, to Miami, to Sacramento. That is a absolutely brutal set of away games. And I think we mentioned that in our preseason pod about the USL Championship,
Yeah, we did.
how we were going to be doing this. And it was the most insane thing I've ever seen. Yes,
Tyler, I have a question. Where are those 3 teams at in the league?
Oh, as far as their standings?
Yes.
Okay, so Phoenix is, I believe, number 5 in the West right now. So, yeah, they're number 5 in the West. I think Miami is 7 in the East. And then I think now Sacramento has bumped up a little bit. They're 8 in the West.
Okay.
So all above us, respectively.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I will say, just to kind of give some context with that, let's see. So Phoenix, they being at number 5, they're 6 points ahead of us. So really not that bad. 6 points, 2 wins. That's not really abysmal. Miami in the East, they have 16 points. We have 14. So they're only 2 points ahead of us if we were in the same conference. Now, when you go to Sacramento, they've got 17 points. They're 3 points above us in the West. So nobody is more than 2 wins above us out of the matches that we're going to be playing. And I guess when you kind of start thinking about some of our prior matches and how a couple of them felt a little bit like, I don't know, a robbery, I'll say it. A couple of them we kind of got robbed a little bit on. It doesn't feel quite as scary. So think about going against Phoenix, Miami, and Sacramento. Eric, who asked this question, he was wanting to know how many points are we getting out of the 3 of those. I think, I'll start. I think the fatigue of travel is unavoidable. I think at some point, all the back and forth, time zone changes, all the things that go into having to travel that much, that often, it's going to hurt us. Now, that's maybe where our Richmond rotation comes into play, though, because maybe that was the intent. Maybe it was, let's get these guys ready to go, kind of test them out, see how they do. And maybe we don't do like full big rotations. Like we don't completely change our whole back line, right? Maybe it's more of like, all right, we need to swap a couple of players. That way everybody's still feeling good. And then the next match, let's swap these 2 players. So I think that might be part of the intention. I don't know for sure. I say Phoenix. I feel like Phoenix, I'm going to say we're still riding the wave. I'm going to say we're still riding the wave. I'm going to call that one a draw, though. I think we're still like battling hard. Phoenix has been doing pretty decent here lately, and we're going to be going out to the West Coast for that. I'm going to give that a draw, so that's 1 point. Miami, I'm going to say we get a win. Sacramento, I'm going to say we get a win. So I'm calling 7 points out of this. I'm going to go for that. What do you feel, Dylan? Kyle, you want to go?
Well, what was the last time we asked about how many points are we going to get in a stretch? And are we actually like fact checking these? We should, because I'm curious.
We should go back and check these out.
Yeah, I actually don't know.
Fun.
I guess I'm still, to your point, there's, and really something that we've seen for much of the, not only in the championship, but even in League One, there's not a ton of talent separation between teams, right? So it is kind of an any given night type of league still. We saw that with New Mexico. The West seems to be, a little bit more stout top to bottom. And so the competition maybe is kind of setting up to where we maybe are used to playing some of the more difficult teams. But I will say through 3 matches in July, I mean, I think if Lexington can go, undefeated, so to speak, even if it's a win and 2 draws, 5 points, something like that, I think that even that would be a success given the travel difficulties. But so I would say on the low end, give us 3 or 4 points, but maybe 5. I mean, obviously, the more the merrier. I just feel like the travel is really going to set in. And I still don't want to get too far ahead of things here. just given 3 matches.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Kyle. I'm feeling 4 as my number. I'm thinking maybe Phoenix is our win. Just ride the hot hand. Going in with the momentum, and then the fatigue kind of starts to set in as we keep traveling and as the time goes on, and we kind of steal a draw, and then our last one of the stretch is a loss. That's kind of how I picture it.
That might be the route. All right, so I got 7. Kyle, you said 5. Is that right? Okay, and then you said 4. Okay, 7, 5, 4. Somebody that keeps stats, just write this down and then check us, and then we'll just start making this a rolling thing. we'll have to go back through all of our pods and see all of our predictions and realize how horribly wrong we've been.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or don't check us, like whatever.
Don't. Yes.
If we're wrong, we're wrong.
I'm okay with that too. Don't check us at all.
Yeah,
I'd rather be ignorant to our wrongness. So, okay. That feels good to me, though. If we can get out of this with at least points from each team, I'm feeling all right. I really am. Because I know we were talking about hitting the panic button a couple episodes ago, and we're still not out of the woods. I mean, we're still down as bottom feeders, right? But the gap is closing a little bit. So, I mean, I know this doesn't sound amazing, but the top team in the league is 11 points ahead of us. That's still doable with the amount of season we have left to catch up in some respect. But, I mean, even when you're talking about the middle teams, it's only like anywhere from 4 to 6 points ahead of us. That's not that bad. So I think if we can get points off of each team, or even 2 wins and a loss, whatever permutation you want to come out with, I think 5 minimum would be really nice and comfy for me. But that's just me. We'll see what goes down. Kind of riding this wave, and I'll go ahead and address Eric's other question because he asked us another one. Like, what match that we played do we wish that, I don't know, how did he ask this? What do you think we could get back our result from? Which match was kind of the one that you're like, man, if that one had been one that we had actually like snagged those points, we would be okay.
I know we got points because we drew against Tampa Bay, but I feel like that one, like if that was a win, something about that one specifically just feels like it was a real downer to just like only get the draw,
Yeah, I'd agree. I think mine might actually be the San Antonio game where we were up 2-0 on them and then we lost 3-2. I think that if we had been able to close out that game and just hold on, that would have been really, really big. I mean, even if they'd only scored 1 goal, okay, whatever, that's fine. But if we gotten that win and actually held steady at home against them, I think that would have mattered a whole lot, especially considering historically our road record as a club is not good at all. And this is a brand new team, so we have plenty to turn things around, but we need home points when we can get them. And those were home points that really should have been in the bag.
Yeah, that was going to be mine too. The tie against Charlotte was kind of the other one that came to mind, even though it's Jaeger Cup related. That was more of a morale, like kind of a kick where the sun don't shine type of match, and also it makes it such that now that we know the Richmond outcome, if my math is correct, we would have exited. We'd be on 6 right now, with one more match against Louisville City, maybe a chance to advance too. So you have a little bit more you're playing for in that last Jaeger Cup match. So, but that's more of it's less about the, I guess, circumstances of the match and more about just individually how that match was really lost.
Or we could even throw in like the Loudon match where they got 8 minutes to try and score on us at the end of it. Yeah, that's another good shout too. We could do this all night. Let's just make this a whole episode about how many times you got screwed out of points. Yeah, I don't like this, Eric. Why are you doing this to us? Man, I don't know. But I think that this road stretch though will really show who we are. We're getting there. We're getting there. These 3 matches have me feeling really encouraged. But let's be honest, like the competition was descending as time went on. And I think we're about to hit an upswing again. And so I think we need to see how we handle this upswing along with this really, really intense road challenge of just constantly flying back and forth across the country. That'll really show what we're made of. Can we count on everybody on the squad? Not just the starting 11. Can we count on anybody that we pull in here and put them in the mix? I think that that's going to be big. Speaking of counting on players that you put in the squad, I got to address this because, like, we all know with Bedense, whenever he was coming back, he had like IG stories being like, here's me in Lexington Green, here's me in a plane on the way to Lexington. And then eventually, like, they disappeared. And then it was like, oh, he is actually here. And, like, I mean, let's be honest, it might have been as well have been in Neon Lights. Azad Liati, who's been doing great for Portland Hearts of Pine in League One, he actually had an Instagram story that he posted of him walking in Lexington Stadium. Not from today. Clearly, it was a past picture. And then it had the little, like, green recycle symbol that he put on there, the little emoji. So I'm not saying he's back, but the fact that he posted that and then quickly deleted it kind of feels like he might be back.
He also was not in the 18 for Portland the other day.
Despite being a focal point of their attack. He has, like, what, 3 goals and an assist for them so far this season since he's been on loan.
Wasn't he just on Team of the Week as well? Yeah.
Yes, and
Pretty
I think
sure
he had,
you wouldn't
like,
leave that player out of
Yes.
your 18.
Was it like, did he get goal of the week or am I making that up? Maybe,
I
maybe
can't
I'm
remember
making
if
that
it was goal of the week or team of the week.
I think he was team of the week too, but I think he also might have, like, at least nominated for goal of the week. So I don't know. I'm not saying he's back. This is disclaimer. This is not me confirming AZ is back in town, but it seems kind of suspicious. So maybe we have some extra attacking help. Although we have lots of attacking help, it seems like, you know, we've got plenty of people that can fill that role. But if he's back, maybe we see that there's a spot for him while he's in form to do his thing here. And maybe he is that extra set of reinforcements while we're away on these long road trips. You know, maybe that's part of the plan for rotation. So if he is back, I, for one, am super glad because he's killing it in Portland. So why not pull him in if he's hot, you know? Like, let him do his thing for us and score some goals for Green. Might as well, because at the end of the day, he is a Green, right?
You know, on 320, I called that he would be recalled back because that night he scored a brace and he ended with a 8.9 rating that game. And I said he's going to get recalled before we know it. And here we are. I was right.
That same night, Dylan said, you know what? If I'm right, I'm naming my firstborn Azad Liati Sweeney.
No.
Wait, did you say in March? I mean,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yep, back in March, 320.
I mean, eventually he would be recalled, so you're going to be right at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Little loophole there.
I always cover my bases, Kyle.
Yeah, I was going to say, trying to pull a fast one on us. Maybe like it's like the end of the season. It's like he's recalled and he's, you know, being transferred. It's like, I knew it. I knew he was coming back.
Yeah. It's you know,
Hey,
but it's
when
okay.
you're right,
Yes.
you're right.
Prophet, I just wish you'd use your powers to make us all rich. No
I mean,
loophole.
hey, maybe that hasn't hit yet. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's just waiting around the corner for us. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious. It'd be really cool. You know, I'm a big fan of any of our loanees being brought back in and tested out, especially if they're in form. He is in form. Let's see what happens.
I'm
We'll see
interested
what time tells.
to see like where he fits. You know, just like with personnel wise.
Right. And you know, I feel like maybe there's going to be some, you know, mixing around. Like some people maybe take a back seat for a little bit, and then possibly he fills those roles. I don't know. I don't know what they have planned, but we'll find out. Or maybe this is just nothing. Maybe it's just speculation for speculation's sake. I don't think so, though. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Like, why would? Yeah, it sounds like he posted without getting league and federation approval. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Should have put that. You should have put little recycle sign and then pending league and federation approval or whatever.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
For every post.
parentheses. For
Yes.
every post.
Yes.
Just cover your bases.
Yes. Everything they do, no matter what, and be like, check out this fit that I got. It's is it dripping or tripping? I'm gonna say dripping pending league and federation approval though. Everything has to be approved now. We will find out though soon. I'm betting soon. Okay. So feeling okay overall about the squad. I think that we've got a tall task ahead of us, but we're going to do it. Let's talk about some USL2 stuff real quick, okay? Because USL2 is not done yet. We're not finished. We still got 2 matches to go. So does our nemesis, Fort Wayne. Yes, I've decided they're our nemesis just because we're both battling it out for the top of the table. Fort Wayne seemed unbeatable. They are beatable. They've lost a match. We felt unbeatable. We stumbled a couple of times. Still, Fort Wayne is only 2 points ahead of our Lex 2 squad. With 2 matches left, it could happen. It could happen. We could end up on top and actually make it to the playoffs. In fact, I believe that we're still technically in the hunt for a wild card spot. I know that there's somebody that does a bunch of like elimination charts. I think they actually have a pod all about USL2. I think it's talking USL2 YA, not y'all or anything. Maybe it is y'all and it got cut off. I could be wrong. I'd got to double check my sources. But I think that they, if I remember correctly, said, let me find it. If we win both of our remaining games, we secure playoffs. No matter what. Yeah. So no matter what happens with Fort Wayne could win the group and we could still end up in the playoffs because we'd be higher in points than all the other wild cards out of the Central Division. So really all we need is for our Lex 2 squad to win these last 2 matches, and then we're golden. It doesn't really matter what Fort Wayne does at that point. That being said, I would really like to see us win our division and overtake Fort Wayne. It's possible. I think that we can do it. I think that within 2 points, we just need Fort Wayne to stumble like one time and us to just win out, and it's gold. I mean, we went out no matter what, and I feel like we're set. So USL2 squad is still in the mix. If you guys are interested in still following and seeing what they got going on, I think we've got, let's see, Dayton Dutch Lions. Actually, oh man, tomorrow. Is that right? Tomorrow, Dayton Dutch Lions at 7:00. So that's actually away. They're not doing so hot. Nobody in our division really is except for us and Fort Wayne. But anybody can win on any given day. So we can't assume it's a win. But we got them tomorrow. And then our next match isn't until the 12th, apparently. So the 12th, we're going up against West Virginia for our final match of the season. And then that will kind of decide where we fall and what's going to happen. Best case scenario, Fort Wayne loses their next match. We win, and then we win our next one, and then everything will be fine. But I mean, there's a very, very real chance that our Lex 2 squad makes these playoffs, and I'm all here for it. Like even just making the playoffs, hearing that about a Lexington squad gets me excited. Like I think people don't really get this. Like how you weren't on here yet, but we were talking about how Dallas Trinity fired their manager because making the playoffs wasn't good enough in year 1, which as a Lexington fan, you hear something like that and you're like, man, what? It's like, oh yeah, like I might have $100 million, but it's not $200 million. So I'm kind of upset right now. Like,
just feels like throwing money on fire.
Right.
So it sounds like there's a coach available is what I'm hearing.
It does sound like there's a coach available. I mean, that is very true, man. You never know. And she did good stuff with Dallas. So I don't know. We needed you on here for that speculation part. Hey, but seriously, that might happen. But I think that's a big deal. Just having one of our squads make the playoffs in a meaningful setup with this tough competition. Because it's not like we're making the playoffs just kind of like, oh yeah, like it was kind of a given. Like even getting that wild card, you have to earn that. And especially going up against Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne is essentially prepping to become a USL1 squad. So it's not like they're just, fielding anybody and saying, okay, we're just going to be in USL2 forever. you got to think that they're testing out things to see who can come up to USL 1 with them. So challenging squad for us to be going toe-to-toe points-wise with them, that's a big deal. I'm ready to see us get to that playoff spot. So I don't know, be watching that. Well, if the stream works.
Yeah, good luck.
if the stream works.
Is this all setting up for a Eastern Conference Finals? Maybe not finals. Eastern Conference playoff. I don't know how the structure's set up. Rematch, so to speak, against Vermont. Maybe a little vengeance.
Whoa.
Wouldn't that be wild?
Twice?
Vindication. I know they're tops in the Northeast.
That would be crazy if it ended up working out that way, and that our Lex 2 squad beats them. I'd feel very vindicated. Although there would probably still be some jokes about how our Lex 2 squad beat them. And
Stranger things.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Love Vermont, but yeah, I want to beat them in some way, shape, or fashion. So if it's our Lex 2 squad that does it, yes, let's go. Let's make that happen. Everybody just make sure you cover the back post. Just do that. So if you can watch it, do so. Otherwise, you guys have one opportunity to see them at home for the last match on the 12th. So got to mark that down. Got to be watching this stuff closely because you never know how it's going to play out. I'm hoping in our favor. Okay. Last thoughts, guys, before we close it off?
Nope. Got nothing for you.
Nothing at all. Yikes.
No, I mean, this is a rather enjoyable episode, at least for me, talking about some victories. So
I know.
yeah, this is not used to it really, but I think we're handling it well so far.
Yeah,
I said it in the Super League part too. Like, I love to be proven wrong, so I will unpress the panic button if we start to get super hot.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like it's that type of vindication whenever, like, my kids, they got their play foam Nerf swords and they start hitting each other and they get a little too crazy and have to take them away. And they're like, but we'll be more careful. I'm like, okay, you have to prove to me that you're going to be more careful because, like, right now you're not making good decisions. I feel like we had one of those talks with LSC a couple weeks ago. And now they're making good decisions and they can have their foam Nerf swords back. And everything's fine. Everybody's feeling good about life again. And they're being responsible and things. So I don't know. We'll see if that kind of continues, though. I'm glad that we're riding these good vibes. I'm ready to see championship late night action. Man, we're getting back into that, though. I was actually feeling kind of spoiled with the Richmond game. Unfortunately, it didn't work out with me being on the road. It would have been better off if we had played later so I could watch it live. But it did feel a little weird that we actually had an away game and it wasn't at 10:30 at night. I didn't really know what to think about that. But we got another 10:30 match. That's Phoenix. 7:30 against Miami, though. So not so bad. More normal, right? And then Sacramento's at 11. Blech. So I don't know. Just kind of prep yourselves for that.
Let me go ahead and not completely shift gears, but shift gears a little bit. Let's let Crystal Palace go ahead and play in the Europa League next year. Like, are you all following this whole ownership debacle?
I've heard of bits and pieces of it.
It's the rule about how with club ownership and owners can't have like multiple stakes in teams competing in English competition, and I guess there's ties with the French club Lyon and their owner and Crystal Palace's ownership group. There's overlap there, so they both can't be in Europa League. So it's one of these where it's like the first few times I saw the article, I was like, they'll figure it out. Someone will figure it out. They'll figure it out. And now the latest, I think today, is that they're delaying the ruling yet again because the links to the French club through an American businessman. Both teams qualified for Europa League, but there's the multi-club ownership rule that they broke, which is just lame. Like, come on. Both teams made it. Let them both in.
All I'm hearing is Crystal Palace, your team is taking a sacrifice so that way Lexington can enjoy nice things. So I don't really see the problem here. I think that's just the universe balancing things, Kyle. And, the Pacers losing,
Yeah.
Crystal Palace not being able to participate in the Europa League. I'm willing for you to make those sacrifices so Lexington could do good things.
Well, this French club is in like financial disrepair and might be pushed down to French League Two, in which case I think that would be bad for them and good for Crystal Palace. So not to
Okay.
like prey on other people's downfall, but let's go ahead and make that happen. It's just weird. It's one of those like, yeah, it's one of those weird like rules, I guess. I don't know.
That's kind of what we do on this pod, though, man. We prey on other teams' downfalls. It's the vibe
I love
of
doing
this.
that.
Yeah, I mean you're in the right place. If it's not LSC, we prey on their downfall. Well, in your case, you're hoping for Crystal Palace to do good, but you get it.
All your teams can't have success at the same time, like Tyler was saying.
Seems witchcraft if you do.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like the reason LSC's, the Super League spring schedule went so poorly was because the Eagles won the Super Bowl,
It's your fault.
So we had to sacrifice that for the Birds to get another ring. So
I just heard you say you
Pacers get
hate our
eliminated.
Super League team.
No, I actually love them probably a lot, and super amount.
Well,
pun intended.
Someone who understands like, I don't know, someone who understands the ruling of all this stuff, explain it to me like I'm five type of thing. Why these billionaires and they're owning too many different teams, like why that has to impact.
I think billionaires can deal with just like one team. You know what I mean? I think one's probably enough. I don't have any, actually.
You would think.
None?
Same.
Wow.
No, yeah.
Oh, this is awkward.
My portfolio is not very diverse.
That's kind of one of the things you had to have a team if you're going to be on here on this podcast. So, yikes. Got to kick the peasantry off.
I play on a team. That doesn't count, though.
Yeah, we do. And we're doing okay. Just okay. All right. So somebody help Kyle out. Like, I don't know, tell us in some comment somewhere so Kyle can rest at ease knowing why life is unfair. And then feel better about things. Yeah, Kyle.
I was going to say, I think I understand the rule. What I don't understand is why the rule. Like, why do we have it?
Why the rule? Tell Kyle why the rule.
Why?
Hey, it's the man.
Why the rule? The man. There you go.
Exactly.
You had the answer the whole time. You didn't even need somebody else.
And then they were talking
sourcing help.
And then Woody Johnson, the New York Jets owner, was like going to get involved with Crystal Palace.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that. Anything he touches does not go well.
Yikes.
He had his sons using Madden rankings to like decide players. You don't want him using FIFA scores, to get
that was the wildest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. You know,
you never know. Maybe it works.
Yeah.
FIFA scores for
I'm
every
a big fan of the big fan of the soap though. Johnson and Johnson. What do they have? They have a bunch of stuff. They got again.
They're a megacorp. They're a megacorp.
Yeah.
This is like bizarro land. I feel like my ADHD transferred over to Kyle.
Yeah, he's the one on the tangent.
And I'm like, is this what happens?
Yeah. Hey,
I'm on the other side of the table now.
This thing up.
No,
somebody wrap this thing up.
Legitimate questions. You got it. Okay, I will do the honors. Away games, lots of them get caffeine. For most of them, for championship, right? USL 2. Make sure you guys tune in if you can, and the stream actually works. Otherwise, obviously, July 12th, you can go see them in person. And then, of course, keep your eye out for Super League news. More has probably come by the time that you're listening to this and or will be coming. So I'm real excited to see how this all shapes out, who we have representing our club. I mean, if anything, get those tickets to the July 13th match against Racing. I know that a lot of Lexington fans are planning on going, so it'd be really cool if there was a lot of green in that stadium. cheer on this new squad of ladies and maybe see some familiar faces while we're at it. Lots of stuff going down. Stay tuned to everything. Yeah, that's good. Come on, you Greens.